Hello, how are you? So today it's a second lecture on C++. Okay, let's start. It's a brief about myself. Today mainly we are going to discuss the object-oriented general features, limitations of C, and accessing class member and functions in C++. Though already one function is discussed, that means the inline function is discussed in your previous lecture. So today we are mainly going to I think you know about this, that object is not only data or not only functions, it's the combination of data and functions. That means the attribute and behavior. And benefits of object oriented programming also discussed, but today we will discuss it in detail. This part was also discussed in last lecture. Okay, now the object oriented general feature. The object oriented language must support the mechanism to define, create, manipulate objects. And you know the concept of object, that means everything in the real world, everything is object. If you, this pen is an object, this one is an object, the mobile phone is object. So everything in the real world is object. Sun, moonlight, whatever, girl, student, teacher, everything is object. The four pillars of object-oriented programming language is abstraction, encapsulation, polymorphism, and inheritance. We will discuss one by one. And before going to discuss about object-oriented programming language, we have one concept called the object-based programming language, where it only supports the encapsulation and object identity. And in object-oriented programming, it supports the object-based programming language features, that means the encapsulation plus object identity with inheritance and polymorphism. First, we will discuss that abstraction. Abstraction is the process by which data and function only the essential details are revealed. That means it's given to you. The implementation details are hidden. For example, you know that how to use this set, or how to use a app, say WhatsApp. How can you use a WhatsApp? You know about it, but the detail of it's not given to you. So this one is known as the abstraction. So only the part which is relevant for the user to use the particular, maybe the software or maybe anything, so that is known as abstraction. You are not able to know the detail of it, just know the how you can use it. You say you know how to drive car, but how it is actually the mechanism of it is how it is created, how it is designed, you don't know the detail about it. And next thing is encapsulation. When data and functions are combined, or it is encapsulated in a single unit, this one is known as encapsulation. If I draw this, say student, the class name is student, and you are writing here name of the student, roll number, and some behavior of the students will be given as, say, S1 I am giving, and S2. The functions are given S1 and S2. Now the data, that means the name, roll number, it's now encapsulated with the behavior S1 and S2. Now it is combined, they are in the single unit. This one is known as encapsulation. Polymorphism is a concept of assign a different meaning or uses to a variable, function, or an object in different context. Polymorphism is basically a very important concept in object oriented programming language. It's a Greek term, means the ability to take more than one form. An operation may exhibit different behavior in different instances. The behavior depends upon the type of the data used in the operations. And for example, you say person A. Say person A is a very good singer and he is a student of XYZ college. Okay, and singer. Lots of stage performance is done by this person. Now when this person is on stage, that time the person is singer. When this person is in the college as student, the person is student. So same person behaves differently in different situation. When he is on stage, he is a singer. When he is on college, he is a student, like this. So this is the concept of polymorphism. And inheritance is the ability to reuse code. I will discuss about it later. All this part will be discussed later in detail. Just now you remember abstraction, encapsulation, polymorphism and inheritance, the main pillars of object oriented programming language. And these are basically the derived form of these four features, that means containership and genericity. This is the Venn diagram of C and C++. Most of the features C are supported by C++, with some extra feature object oriented features which are not supported in C, and a few features are not able to, you can do this in C++. Very few features, probably the void pointer cannot be converted to like this. This is a simple program. Okay, see this code. C++ was actually developed from the C program language, and with some few exception. One of the most original aim for C was to replace the assembly coding for most of the demanding system program tasks. That was not actual. They also want not to compromise with designing. C++ fundamental types, that means the built-in types or primitive type, int, float, and operators, statement, are those that are computer hardware deal with directly. C++ has this one, the built-in type and the operator built-in statements, which is in C. This is also in C++. But C++ does not have high-level data type like matrix or complex number, like this. It doesn't have the high-level data type. But if the user wants, this can be easily created. Now see here, I have decided that a data type test will be created, and test have two attributes I and j. Both of these are integer type, and get is a behavior or functions where you will take the values of it, and another one is just to display it. But before going to discuss about it, I want to tell you one thing, that C++ most important thing to focus on fundamental concept, type safety, resource management, this, and programming technique. But please do not get lost in language technical details. To become a better programmer, be more effective at designing and implementing new system. Okay. Now see here the test data type. I am going to create a new data type called test, and private one in this there is written like private and public. See these two things. The attributes are written in private access specifier within, and behavior are written in public access specifier. These are known as access specifier. This is not the hard and fast rule that you have to write all the data member within private and all the behavior will be written in public. Not like this. You can use anything. That means some data may be in public access specifier and some behavior may be in the private access specifier, whatever. Now what is the advantage of writing thing in private access specifier and advantage of writing in public access specifier? If you have this in the private access specifier, say test semicolon, end of the class will be the semicolon, and if you are writing say int I or void f1, when it is written within the private access specifier, it will not be allowed to access outside of the class. You cannot access it directly outside of the class. It can be only accessed within the class. So if you want to keep some data secured, the security concept, now I think you can relate it, the security concept. If you want to make some data secured, then you can write it, you can keep it within the private access specifier, and then it cannot be used outside the class. So now you can have a question that if it is in the private access specifier and you cannot use it, so what is the meaning of writing this kind of thing? You can use it, but through any member which is in the public. Say I have f2 function. Okay, through f2 function is a member function of class test, and f2 function can access I. So if you are writing the code in such a way, you are accessing I, which is in the private access specifier. Now indirectly you can access the private member through the class member, the member function. You can access the private member of this class. Public access specifiers member, which is also the member of this class, and through this you can access it. Now see this code here, get, you are just taking the values and display, you are just displaying it. Now when you are writing test OB, remember one thing. When you are actually writing the class, defining the class, that time it is not actually allocates any memory. But when the instance of it is created, that time it is allocating the memory. So when I am writing test OB, that time a memory space will be allocated. And how much space will be allocated? Here the space will be allocated depending on the data type and the number of data. In this case, if you consider the slides example, we have int I and j. Considering that integer type is taking 2 byte, though the modern compiler takes 4 byte, whatever, considering that the integer is taking 2 byte. So now if you are creating test OB, the OB will allocate 4 byte of memory, 2 for I and 2 for J. Okay, if you are creating another object, say test OB1, again it will be taking 2 and 2, 4 byte of memory. So when you are defining it, it's not actually taking the memory. Basically, class is the concept, class is the blueprint of object, and object is instance of class. Taking these two concepts, mainly the object-oriented programming language it is designed, and class is the blueprint. That means a logical concept, logical thing, and object is the physical instance of it. If you are telling that the bottle, there is a concept of it, but if you are telling that this purple color bottle, now this is a physical instance. Okay, so here in this example you can see that value when you are writing ob.get. See one thing, as get is in the public access specifier, you can directly access it using the dot operator. So whenever you are writing ob.get, you can write it. ob.display, you can write it. If we have anything, if you have say k in public access specifier, you have k in public access specifier, and you can write ob.k equals to 40, and then you are writing cout ob.k. See, now you can directly access, that means using the dot operator you can access the data which is in the public access specifier. You can also define any function outside of outside of class. See here, you can only define it. Here get is only declared in class, and you are defining the get function outside of the class. See this, outside of the class. And for doing this one, you have to use the scope resolution operator. This one is known as the scope resolution operator. Using the scope resolution operator, you can identify the function and then you can define it. The function get is which get, which is declared in the test class, and you are writing test scope resolution get. You can also define the function outside of the class in this way using the scope resolution operator. The return type of the function, the class where it belongs, scope resolution, the name of the function. You can also pass the argument like see here, that here in case of the function get, we have two arguments in integer type, and you can pass it. Like primitive data type, that means built-in data type, or which is already known to the compiler, like primitive data type, you can also pass the object type, that means your defined type of data. Here you defined complex, and complex type can be passed as argument. See this one, complex type can be passed as argument. And here I have designed the program in such a way that display adding of two complex object. I have decided to write a code in such a way that it will add to complex object. So whenever I'm telling you that a complex function, a complex number, that time you have in mind that a complex number which has a real part and imaginary part, isn't it? Whenever I am telling that a complex number, real part, imaginary part, okay, so I have designed the class in such a way it has two attribute, real and imaginary. Now it is given that you have to add two complex object or two complex number. So for example, you have to add two complex number. So you must have a add function to add these complex numbers. Okay. For this you have this add function. Here is the add function and you are adding two complex number. And I have passed two argument, complex, two argument is passed here, and then I have stored it in object 1. The first which is passed, I am storing it in this object. So that's why I have written ob1.real equals to ob1.real plus ob2.real. ob1.imaginary equals to ob1.imaginary, ob2.imaginary. Now see, when in main I am writing complex ob1, ob2, ob3. Sorry, no need to write, I think no need to take the ob3 here. You can write ob1 and ob2. You can also take it, but here no need to take it. You can directly do this. So whenever I am writing that ob1 dot get, you are just taking the first complex number, ob2 dot get taking the second complex number, and you can also use either ob2 or ob3 for calling this function, but here I have used another function ob3. You can also use ob1, ob2. So here it is ob3, another object is created and it is calling ob3. It is calling the add function where arguments are ob1 and ob2. And according to the definition, display is actually within the function, but you can actually make it in this way also. Sorry, you can write it that complex return type will be complex now, and you are going to write after doing this ob1 dot imaginary return ob1, and here you can write it that ob3 equals to ob3 dot add, and finally ob3 dot display. You can also do the program in this way. You can just small changes will be there. The return type you can make it complex, and then return this return where the result is stored. Here I have used the ob1 for storing the result, and you can return it. Try to solve these MCQs. Which access level allows data and function to be accessed only by the class in which it is declared? Which one will be the answer? I think you can understand. Private. Public can use anywhere. I will discuss protected, but it is not, the scope is not only limited to that class where it is declared. Next, which concept enables programmer to assign different meaning or uses to a variable, function, or an object in different context? So here the answer will be polymorphism. See this one. Int I equals to 10, int main, int within main I equals to 2. So now see, this I that means this I and this I is not same, and then you have int I, and you want to print cout I, scope resolution I. Always remember the priority of the local variable is highest. So that's why when you are writing I for the first I, it will print 30. And for this second, that means scope resolution I, it is actually the global one. So here the answer will be 30, 10. Next. Int x equals to 0, int y equals to 0, cout xy. Which of these are legal? If you are using ABC, it's legal because here the values are given already. By default values are given. If you are using ABC4, so for the first one, that means for the variable which is in the first, that means for x it will take 4, but for y it will take 0. And if you are using the ABC53, for x it will take 5 and for y it will take 3. So 3 of these is legal. Okay. Which are illegal? Sorry, the question is which are illegal? None. Okay, try to solve this one. Hello 3, shift, left shift 3, left shift 3 and students. Here it will be value of A is 5. If it is shifted 1, it will be 10. Second time shifting 20. Third time shifting 40. So it will be hello 40 students. Okay. Okay, thank you. If you have any question, you can ask.